Africa is young. Not as a slogan, not as a statistic repeated in reports, but as a living reality breathing through its streets, classrooms, markets, and online spaces. In 2025, that youth is no longer whispering its frustration. It is speaking out loud. Across the continent, a quiet patience that lasted decades has finally worn thin. A generation raised on promises of independence, opportunity, and growth is now standing face to face with a different reality. One where education does not guarantee employment, where hard work does not guarantee dignity, and where leadership often feels distant from daily struggle. This generation grew up watching the world through a screen. They saw what functioning systems look like. They saw governments held accountable. They saw young people elsewhere influence policy, culture, and economics. And naturally, they began to ask questions. Not emotional questions. Logical ones. Questions rooted in budgets, priorities, and power. Why does wealth flow upward while opportunity dries up below? Why does corruption recycle itself while accountability never arrives? Why are young people told they are the future, but locked out of the present? In Morocco, young people took to the streets questioning national priorities. They asked why massive resources could be mobilized for international image projects while public hospitals struggled and classrooms overflowed. Their protests were not fueled by chaos, but by calculation. Placards spoke the language of economics. Chants questioned policy. This was not rebellion. It was civic awareness in motion. Further south, in Cameroon, frustration boiled over after disputed elections. But beneath the surface was something deeper, a generation that had known only one political era, one leadership cycle, one closed system. When youth demanded change, the response was often force. But history is clear. Force does not erase frustration, it stores it. In Kenya, the pressure came from economics. Rising fuel prices, rising food costs, rising taxes, but wages remained frozen in time. Young people questioned why economic reforms always demanded sacrifice from ordinary citizens while corruption scandals rarely ended in consequence. This was not tribal anger. It was arithmetic. In Nigeria, the spirit of the #EndSARS movement never disappeared. It transformed. Young Nigerians learned how to organize without central leaders, how to fund movements transparently, and how to control narratives without traditional media. That lesson traveled across borders. Africa's youth realized power does not always sit in offices. Sometimes it sits in numbers. What makes this moment dangerous to outdated systems is not violence, it is intelligence. This generation speaks policy, it speaks budgets, it speaks rights. It cannot be easily divided by tribe or religion because its struggle is shared. It organizes horizontally, not hierarchically. Old systems were designed to control crowds, not networks. And networks are harder to break. Governments now face a choice they have postponed for too long. Suppress and delay, or listen and reform. Repression may silence streets temporarily, but it never fixes what created the anger. Africa has lived this cycle before. When youth voices were ignored after independence, instability followed. When inequality was dismissed, unrest arrived. This moment is not about destroying nations, it is about inheriting them. Africa's youth are not rejecting their countries. They are demanding ownership. They are not asking for handouts. They are asking for systems that work, systems that reward effort, leadership that listens, economies that include. This is not chaos, this is consequence. A generation that waited its turn is now stepping forward, informed, connected, and unwilling to disappear quietly. Africa's youth are no longer silent. They are organized, they are watching, and they are shaping what comes next. This is Africa, unfiltered.